Ushana Mataji, do you think it would be okay for you to read? Is it all right?
Yes, I can read.
Okay, you can start, and maybe throughout the class we can take turns. So you can go ahead.
In this material world, people are engaged in different activities simply to achieve a little success in sense gratification. The karmis are engaged in performing very difficult activities, and thus they open gigantic factories, build huge cities, make big scientific discoveries, etc. In other words, they are engaged in performing very costly sacrifices in order to be promoted in the higher planetary systems. Similarly, yogis are engaged in achieving a similar goal by accepting the tedious practices of mystic yoga.
Gyanis.
Jhanis?
Yeah, Gyanis.
Gyanis, okay, excuse me, are engaged in philosophical speculation in order to gain release from the clutches of material nature. In these ways, everyone is engaged in performing very difficult tasks simply for the gratification of the senses.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. So I will stop here for now. So in this material world, people are engaged to get a little success in sense gratification. So the whole idea actually is this sense gratification, to enjoy the senses. So there's a gross way of enjoying and there's a subtle way of enjoying. So the gross way is very simple. I want to enjoy my tongue. I go to Pizza Hut. I want to enjoy, the sense of touch. I go get a massage or a manicure. I want like that, right? So the whole aim is this. And then there's subtle sense gratification, which are the philosophers, men of science and so on. They enjoy the ability to speculate with their mind and make so-called new discoveries, and they boost their ego like that. Okay, so this is the karmis. The karmis is the first type. They are gross materialists. More or less on the level of animal, most people, because the animal has got the same desires. The dog wants to eat palatable things, and he wants to have, sex with the opposite sex, and he wants a nice place to sleep, and so on. So if someone is simply a karmi that wants these things, which is pretty much the biggest portion of human society, then he's very, very little advanced in God realization. And Prabhupada says that opening, gigantic factories, build huge cities. This is all very painstaking activities. It's called Ugra Karma in Sanskrit. Ugra Karma means very painstaking labor. If you see those builders, how they build these skyscraper and so on, like in China, I lived there 15 years, and they build so much, right? They build a lot, and I see it, how they carry heavy bricks and break stones and bring those heavy trucks, and it's a very intense endeavor. And make scientific discovery that is like a subtle endeavor, to always break their brains trying to have mathematical equations, and so much is so much. Prabhupada calls it a sacrifice here, right? Because you're sacrificing so much of your time, of your energy, of your blood, in this way. So, but the real meaning of sacrifice in Vedic culture is to do the same thing, but for God. If you do these things, maybe not building factories and all, but if you undergo severe activities, you work very hard, but for the Lord, that is a proper way of sacrifice. So here it says, in order to be promoted to the higher planetary systems. So those who believe in the Vedas, the karmis that actually, but the real karmis actually that believe in the Vedas, they do some sort of karma kanda sacrifices. By performing pious activity, they will attain higher planetary system, which is generally known as heaven. And there you attain a higher, a more beautiful material body, a longer duration of life, and higher sense gratification. And you can see that even modern day scientists, they're actually trying to do that. Why? They try to go to the moon, they try to go to Mars, and so on. They believe that this is going to be nice, if we go there and expand and build a colony and so on. Of course, they're an illusion that these planets are already inhabited. We learn from Vedic literature that according to the atmosphere, a particular type of body develops. It's not that life must be the way that we experience it here on this planet. A type of atmosphere, there will be a particular type of body that will develop on those planets, and the souls that are this karma will take birth in such bodies. So just like us, we cannot live in water, and fish cannot live where we live. It's very simple to understand. So similarly, yogis are engaged in achieving a similar goal by accepting the where we're here. Yeah, okay, so you can continue, Shana Mataji. Oh no, okay, you already read that. Yeah, Gyanis are engaged in philosophical speculation. In this way, I believe is
the next bit. In these ways, everyone is engaged in performing very difficult tasks simply for the gratification of the senses. All of these are considered to be engaged in sense gratifactory activities, or visaya, because they all demand some facility for material existence. Actually, the results of such activities are temporary, as Krishna himself proclaims in Bhagavad Gita 7.23, Antavat. Oh, my apologies.
Antavatu. Yeah, it's okay. Antavatu palante sham.
Thank you. The fruits of those who worship the demigods are limited and temporary. Thus, the fruits of the activities of the yogis, karmis, and jnanis are ephemeral. Moreover, Krishna says,
Tad bhavatyalpamedesam.
thank you. I need a translator. They are simply meant for men of small intelligence. The word visaya denotes sense gratification. The karmis flatly state that they want sense gratification. The yogis also want sense gratification, but they want it to a higher degree. It is their desire to show some miraculous results through the practice of yoga. Thus, they strive very hard to achieve success in becoming smaller than the smallest, or greater than the greatest, or in creating a planet like Earth, or as scientists by inventing so many wonderful machines. Similarly, the jnanis are also engaged in sense gratification, for they are simply interested in becoming one with the Supreme. Thus, the aim of all these activities is sense gratification to a higher or a lower degree. The bhaktas, however, are not interested in sense gratifactory practices. They are simply satisfied to get an opportunity to serve the Lord. Although they are satisfied in any condition, there is nothing they cannot obtain because they are purely engaged in the service of the Lord.
Yes. So we will continue. There's another paragraph, but here it is said. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that all these endeavors, even if it's worshiping different demigod to go to heaven and so on, is meant for people who are less intelligent. And why is that? Why is it that those who just want to work and supply for their family and so on are less intelligent? Because of this, it is limited and temporary. That's the whole point. The point is that that's never going to be satisfactory to the soul, because we are eternal. We are not this material body. We are space travelers at the moment. Now we have stepped into this body, and this is only one of the station in our cosmic journey. That's all. But we will continue to exist. And that you cannot disprove, because we have already changed body many times in this very life. We had a baby body, then we have a boy or a girl body, and so on. So these bodies are changing, but we're still the same living entity within, experiencing it. So there's two things. There's something that's changing and something that's not, which is we're always the self. We're always us. Now we identify with a different body. Before we identified as a baby, we thought I'm a little baby walking around. Then we thought I'm a little boy, I'm a little girl, like that. And then we think now I'm a man and I'm a woman. So the I is always there, experiencing. Now the self-identification that he presents himself with or herself with is changed. That's all. So this limited and temporary happiness is never going to be enough. We are looking for unlimited and eternal happiness. This is what is going to be satisfactory, and that can only be attained when we are reinstated in our original position, which is to actually be with the Supreme Lord. The normal life means that God is there. on the planet and I can go see him. This is such a great conception, and it's made for great minds to ponder upon. Lord Jesus Christ came and he spoke about the kingdom of God, and he gave God little information. But we learn from Vedic literature that there is such a thing. There is such a thing as a universe, as a world, where the people there can go and see God face to face, and they engage in his service, and the Lord reciprocates with them. This is life. This is the eternal relationship between the Lord and his devotees. The yogis, garmis, and are ephemeral. So all of this, the yogis, they want great mystic power. We learn from Shastra that there's 8 material perfection of yoga. The yogi can become small, he can become big, expand his body, he can become lighter or heavier in this way. And modern day technological advancement is more or less a grosser form of yogic process. They, just like the yogi wants to become very, very small, and now we invent machines that are very, very small, microscope to see very, very small. Um, the how they calculate, right? The chips. Now in those phones, the chip is, they calculate like 5 nm, means like 5 nano something. Like it's the space between the I don't know how you call that, but on a chip you have like millions of such transistor or something. So they become smaller and smaller and smaller. The space between them becomes smaller and smaller. So now I think the smallest they have is 2 nm. That's where the technology is. So smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's helping us actually achieve some of these yogic power that the yogis do. Just a real yogi, not someone who's faking, but a real yogi who goes to the Himalayas, let's say, and he performs severe austerity, he will actually develop some mystic power. So it's possible for a yogi to walk on water. There's a pastime like that of Lord Jesus Christ, that he walk on water, and we accept that, because actually for Lord Jesus Christ it's very easy to do that. A pure devotee has got access to all this yogic power, so it's possible. But what is the value of that now with technological advancement? You might go to the Himalaya for like some 50 years and then come and walk on water, but I just pay like some $10 and I take a boat, right? So through technological advancement, we're achieving what the yogis are doing. Like this thing is unbelievable when you think about it. A phone, with a screen, and you can do so many things with that. Before, we learned from the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita actually is spoken by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra, and he's seeing what Krishna is saying live on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is miles away, and he's seeing it in his heart. But that was through the blessing of Vyasadeva, and then he was speaking to King Dhritarashtra what was going on. But now that's nothing to us. You put the camera somewhere and you can live stream it to millions of people. So with technological advancement, we achieve what those yogis are doing. But what's the aim? Sense gratification. Same thing. Yeah. So the karmis flatly state that they want sense gratification. Yeah, people, they blankly say it. Excuse for my nose. I'm having a lot of mucus. So the karmis, they openly say it, right? We want to enjoy. There's so many, all the songs we hear, it's simply about enjoying. We just want to have fun. We just want to party, be merry, right? And don't think about death. There's nothing after. Don't care about it. Generation YOLO. You only live once, right? And they say it. If there's no sex in a relationship, it won't work. They openly say it. If there was no sex between husband and wife, it wouldn't work. So that means what? That means that the holding glue, the very central factor of relationships nowadays, is sex life. And that was predicted in the Bhagavatam, because that was not always the case. Marriage was a religious duty. It was to uphold society together so that there's no hazardous relationship and destructions of family, and thus, children are without father or mother, and they have to experience a divorce. And so, divorce is really one of the symptom of godlessness. Mm. So that was, of course, there's many cause now. Sometimes, and nowadays, there's some men or women that are very much. It's not that it cannot be used in God's service too. It's possible if one wants to surrender to the Lord, and the partner is not willing to, then leaving might be an option. But as a general principle for upholding society together, divorce was never. It was not even a word before. It did not exist. So, and here it is said on, this is Bhagavatam 12:2-3, men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction. You see, so that superficial means what? It means the body. And you can see how everybody is more and more bodily conscious, even more than ever. This training, lifting weights and bodybuilding, that wasn't such a big thing as it is now. Now you see everybody going to the gym, wanting to be very fit and very, this is all austerity for trying to increase the standard of one's sexual life. That's all. And that's really the main point of modern day society now. Girls want to be as sexy as possible, men want to be as big muscle as possible, and try to enjoy sex, the best as we can. So it has become really an animalistic civilization, because it's simply based on the satisfaction of the tongue and the genitals. It's centered around these two senses. So many restaurants are there for the tongue, bars are there for the tongue, right? Alcohol is enjoyed with the tongue also. and drugs, all these things, cigarettes, it's the tongue also, the lust that is there. And then the genitals, then you have all these advertisements and TV shows, and the main thing is men and women relationship together for sexual, for external. But before, people had a conception that marriage is taken in front of God. Now I've got my duty toward this wife, the wife has got duty towards the husband, and we walk together towards God. Marriage is a religious ceremony. It's not something just for sex or some legality. It's not like that. It's a religious ceremony. In all religion, you have marriages that are there. Why? Because it's God is supposed to be in the center of marriage, actually. So yes, they openly declare, without sex, our marriage wouldn't work. But someone who's a devotee, actually, he has to give up sex life voluntarily, even in married life. And because God is in the center, he still feels happy, and he still loves the wife loves the husband, but they don't require this sexual life. So yes, it is their desire to show some miraculous result with the practice of yoga. They strive very hard, creating planets, right? They, like modern day scientists, basically they wish to become yogi, great yogi. They wish to become God. His Grace Gopal Prabhu one day he met a scientist, and he said, "Why you try to do all these discoveries and all?" And the scientist bluntly said, "Because if we can create all these things, then we can become God." He boldly said, So that's what they want. They want to become God. So yes, this is all. But so the distinction between all of them is that they do sense gratification. What does that mean? That means that all their endeavors is meant at satisfying their own self to a grosser, lesser, or subtler degree. And the bhaktas are, all their endeavor is to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That's a distinction. We do things to satisfy God. So that's the whole philosophy there. Devotee is endeavoring to satisfy the senses of the Lord, and all others are endeavoring to satisfy their own senses. And that's the distinction. Okay, Ushana Mataji, you can continue from here.
The wives of the demigods condemn the performers of sense gratifying activities as vachita.
Yes, vanchita.
Vanchita, cheated. Those so engaged are actually killing themselves. Atmaha, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
11/2017.
So yeah. I can start from here.
When one wants to cross a large ocean, he requires a strong boat. It is said that this human form of life is a good boat by which one can cross the ocean of nescience. In the human form of life, one can obtain the guidance of a good navigator, the spiritual master. One also gets a favorable wind by the mercy of Krishna, and that wind is the instructions of Krishna. The human body is the boat. The instructions of Lord Krishna are the favorable winds, and the spiritual master is the navigator. The spiritual master knows well how to adjust the sails to catch the winds favorably and steer the boat to its destination. If, however, one does not take advantage of this opportunity, one wastes the human form of life. Wasting time and life in this way is the same as committing suicide. The word
Ladva pavargyam.
is significant in this verse because according to Jiva Goswami,
Apavargyam.
or the path of liberation, does not refer to merging into the impersonal Brahman, but to Salokyadi Siddhi, which means attaining the very planet where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides.
Yeah, so this is what we were speaking in, this is what we were speaking in the beginning, that actual life means living on the same planet as God, as the Supreme Personality. And here, Prabhupada mentions, as we were discussing, that liberation here is not an impersonal liberation, which means to lose one's identity and merge within the eternal light, eternal Brahman, personal Brahman. So Jiva Goswami is telling us that no, it refers to Salokyadi Siddhi, which means to reside on the same planet as the Supreme Lord. Okay.
There are 5 kinds of liberation, and one is called Sayujya Mukti, or merging into the existence of the Supreme, or the impersonal Brahman effulgence. However, since there is a chance of one's falling down again into the material sky from the Brahman effulgence, Srila Jiva Goswami advises that in this human form of life, one's only aim should be to go back home, back to Godhead. The words sa, vanchita indicate that once a person has obtained the human form of life, he is actually cheated if he does not make preparations to go back home, back to Godhead. The position of all non-devotees who are not interested in going back to Godhead is very much lamentable, for the human form of life is meant for executing devotional service and nothing else.
So it is very razor sharply cutting the distinction between what we should not do and what we should do. So this is the distinction between those who are devotees and those who are non-devotees, is that devotees understand the goal of life, whereas non-devotees speculate about the goal of life. Everybody has got their own philosophy about what we should do and what we should not do. But here it was stated that the human form of life is meant to accept a captain, which means accepting the guidance of a spiritual master. That was always the system in the Vedic ages. And that has been lost now. Of course, there's many cheetahs also that come and pose as spiritual masters. But that's the idea, that now this human form of life allows us to understand who we are and how many are we. For example, now they say that on the planet there's some 8 billion people, nearly 8 billion people. So, but amongst how many living entities? If you calculate how many, like, let's say, ants are there, I guess there's 8 billion only in one province or in a neighborhood like that. So, and how many reptiles, birds, and so many. So if you calculate how many animals are there on the planet and how many humans, then there's no, we can understand how rare this human birth actually is. It's a very, very rare opportunity. And if we miss it and simply again, then we have to go back down again, and then we have to be animals for millions of births. We have to take birth and birth again through the evolutionary process of consciousness, because some animals have got higher consciousness than others. So concerning this human form of life, Lord Brahma said, maybe Sami, is it okay? I think you're shopping, right, Sami Prabhu? So who would like to read?
I can also read if needed, but others can also. Dimitri Prabhu, for example.
Yes, sure, Dimitri Prabhu, you can go ahead. So here we have Lord Brahma, who is a personality so great that we cannot even comprehend. Although he's not God, to us he appears to be almost like God, because he's given the task of actually, sub-creating this universe. Um, so he himself is saying to the other inhabitants of higher realms that the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire such life. So they also want, demigods also want to come here. Sometimes in movies, I, well, at least I've heard before when I used to watch movie that uh, sometimes they say, oh, those the gods, they envy us because we can experience mortality and so on. This is not true at all. First of all, demigods themselves, they experience death too, not the way we do, but they experience cessation of their temporary existence. But that's not what they envy us. Why would they envy us for dying? It doesn't make sense. This is just a plea to try to um, pets one's ego at not having to understand how controlled we are, right? We are forced to die. And the proud materialists, modern man, is trying to invent so many philosophy in order to counteract that. Oh no, without death, there wouldn't be any meaning to life. If life didn't end, so many things like that. Although they have these philosophy, if fire cuts in their apartment, they'll run out. Why don't you follow your philosophy and stay in the fire? So anyway, but that's not the reason why they envy us. Not envy, but they have some jealousy. Is that here we can make very fast spiritual advancement, and it's a fact here, because we are not too much engrossed in sense gratification, and we are not too much into suffering. Whereas in hellish regions of the universe, people are suffering so much that it's so disturbing. They cannot focus on spiritual advancement. And they're also not pious people. And the demigods, they're so comfortably materially situated that they forget about that. Just like now we are here, we're discussing, we're sitting down, right? That means what? That means we've got some realization that this is important to talk about these things, talk about God. But let's say tomorrow we would get $5 million, or let's say 10 million or whatever. Can we be sure that we will be continuing on this path? Because then you get 10 million, then you start to ponder what you can do. Wow, 10 million, I can go buy a house in the Fiji. I can travel to the Maldives. I can buy then you start to contemplate all the different possibility of sense gratification, and to remain steady within that, is very tough. Of course, an advanced devotee, 10 million, he'll immediately build a temple. He'll print some books, right? He'll install beautiful deities and so on. So he'll use it for God. But since we're not that advanced, we might fall down if we get all this. So demigods, those who are in heaven, it's the same thing. In heaven, there's not one single atheist. Everybody knows that God exists. It's not like a subject matter of discussion. They know, because they have seen him. Sometimes he goes there. We learn from the Shrimad Bhagavatam, and sometimes Lord Vishnu comes down, and he manifests himself to the demigod. So they've seen God. It's not a subject matter of discussion, or no. They're all theists, all believers. They're convinced. But even despite this conviction, despite seeing him, they are very engrossed in sense gratification so much that they have difficulty to make spiritual advancement. So therefore, this place here where we live has got just the good amount of comfort and a good amount of suffering to help us keep us on track. Because suffering is also needed. because without suffering, how are we going to be developing a desire to get out, right? To find a solution. Okay, there's another verse concerning human birth. Actually, there's many, but I'll go to this one. Okay, sorry, I've closed one tab that I shouldn't have closed. Choose this one. Okay. So, okay, next verse we'll go to 3:13:50 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, Dimitri Prabhu, you can continue reading. Yes, so only in this human form of life can we hear about the activities of the personality of Godhead. Only now can we hear about God and listen to Him and listen about Him like that. And this is the way to deliver us. Just like even now, we're discussing about God, right? So already in a subtle way, our miseries have diminished just because we engage in talking about God. What is this misery? We just like thirst, hunger, all these things, or anxiety. This immediately diminishes as soon as we start to discuss about the Lord. So this human form is meant for that. We should not waste time in discussing politics and all these things, as much as necessary in order to understand a bit the world situation, because we should not be completely aloof. We still live on this planet after all, but we should not indulge too much, just like every single year. Oh, a new president is coming. Who are you gonna vote for? And then, yeah, he's a good man. And after a couple of years, he's a bad man. Bring him down. Bring a new guy. Okay, who are you gonna vote for? No, he's a good man. No, okay, after a couple of years, he's a bad man. Bring him down. Same thing going on again and again. All these elections and so on. So why waste time? Why waste time with this thing? So another verse that speaks of the demigod wanting to take birth here. So there's 5:19:21. Yes, you can read. Yeah. So Bharatavarsha sometimes refer to the whole planet, but especially to India. Because in India, actually, if you want to know about God, the scriptures, the Vedas are there in India. And you can see the Vedic culture is all centered about worshiping the Lord. There's so many temples in India and so on. So it's very easy to become Krishna conscious, God conscious in India, because the atmosphere is surcharged with devotion to God. So that's why Bharatavarsha is considered to be the highest birth here on earth. But now, by Prabhupada's mercy, even us who are outside India, we also can have access to this knowledge. We are here in Australia. Dimitri Prabhu is in Russia. Sami is in Finland, and others are in India like that. But we all sit together and discuss the same knowledge that was previously only hidden in India. So, okay, now we'll go back to the original verse of today, and speak about another point that is there, which is this here. So, envious of his own self. So, why is it that those who are simply performing material activities, trying to enjoy and be merry, are envious of their own self? So first, we'll have to go and see what envy is. We have to define envy. So, Okay, so this is a quote by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'll be sharing the entire screen for this. So this is the definition of envy. To become happy on seeing others' distress and to become distressed on seeing others' happiness is called envy. Envy and love are contradictory and hence mutually exclusive. Wherever there's envy, there's no question of love, and wherever there's love, there's no question of envy. So envy is the complete opposite of love of God. Because someone who loves God loves all living entity. But envy means when you're happy, when I see your advancement materially or spiritually, I become distressed. I become envious. Oh, you got a nice car. Damn, how can you be like that? How can you? Oh, you got a nice house like that. Or even spiritually, oh, you become successful in your spiritual life. Oh, I don't like to see that. And if you fail, you lose your house. Then I get a smirk on my face, right? You lost your house. That's good. Oh, you got a car accident with your new car. Good for you. Like that. Or spiritually speaking, you fell down. You went back into sense gratification. You didn't make it. I'm a better devotee than you. So that's envy. This is completely opposite to love of God. So everything is in envy. Okay, this is maybe a bit. This could be, we could speak about this and elaborate a lot, but just to show that how envy is the worst of all enemies. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, and pride are included within envy. Lust is included in anger. Lust and anger are included in greed. Lust, anger, and greed are included in illusion. Lust, anger, greed, and illusion are included in pride, and lust, anger, greed, illusion, and pride are included in envy. So we see now another place from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He speaks on how what is envy. So, oh, I cannot do any good, but I can harm you. Now tell me, what will you give me in return for this? You see. That's an envious person, that I'm going to harm you and still I want to exploit you. I want to take from you more and more. There's a proverb in Sanskrit, asaktoham griharambhe saktoham grihabhanjane. I'm so incapable that I cannot begin the work of building a house, but I'm especially expert in turning even a big palace into dust. This is the character of envious and wicked persons. People of low nature are capable of spoiling the work of others, but are unable to do good for anyone. A rat can easily spoil so many valuable books, clothes, or stocks of grain, but cannot produce any of these. As a result of great fortune, the seed of sincere faith in God and his devotees can sprout in the heart of a living entity. Even after the performance of hundreds of births of even after the performance of hundreds of births of renunciation and austerities, one cannot attain even a particle of faith. So the point is that if we remain envious, there's no question of spiritual advancement. So then why is it said that we act with self-envy? Self-envy means we are not acting in our ultimate benefit. Since we are spirit soul, but we're acting against our welfare, we are doing fruitive activities, which is going to be entangling us further into this material world. We are acting with self-envy. We are doing what is bad for us. And we become happy when we are engaged in sense gratification. But actually, this sense gratification is going to increase misery in the future. So we become happy at our suffering. And when we, of course, devotees, us, we've got some little understanding. But the karmis, and if you tell them that no, come to the temple, you sit down, you hear about God and all, then they become very angry that why should I go to this place? Or they become completely despondent. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go waste my time. So this is again envy against one's own self, because this is actually what is good for you. This is actually what's good for all of us, to go and hear about the Lord and our relationship with Him. Yet we try to avoid that. So in this way, again, that is suffering, actually, to deny God's invitation, because everything is arranged by God. So if the Lord tries to bring you to his temple and hear about him and you deny that, that is great suffering for yourself. And you think, but one will think that, good, now I don't need to go to that nonsense temple. I can go to the movie theater, like that. So this is called acting with self-envy. And that is, I think Prabhupada quoted that verse in the purport, 11:2017. Yeah, so that's he spoke it in the purport, but we can read it again as a verse itself. Okay, who would like to read? Maybe Sai Karti Prabhu, would you like to read? I don't know if he heard me. Who else is available for reading? Sami Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
The human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul.
Yeah. So here, the killer of his own soul. So that is envy of one's own self, destroying one's own soul, plunging deeper and deeper into material contamination. So again, the stress on the human form of life is there. If we do not utilize that, then we are doing a great blunder. And people might say, well, I don't care. You talk about all these things, but I don't care. Well, you might not care. Does that mean that death is disappearing? Because you're not caring about all of this knowledge there, does that mean that death will not come and take away whatever you've been endeavoring for all your life? It will still take place. And we see it is taking place. Every day there's people dying. So we're just somewhere in the list, right? We're going towards that. So someone who's intelligent will understand that there's something wrong. We don't want to be dying, and why are we forced to die? Death is not something that is pleasurable. People say, oh, we no need to talk about it, no need to do this. It's not because you avoid that the pain of death will disappear. Can you read, Sami Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. O elevated demigods, at the time of death, severe, unbearable pain takes away the consciousness of all living entities who have accepted material bodies. Don't you know about this pain? Prabhu, you're muted. Or you're not muted, but your microphone is not working.
So my microphone shut down, so one moment. Can you
Yes,
hear me
Prabhu.
now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, so I think it's using the microphone from my computer. So
Yeah.
yes, the quality just reduced, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I don't know why the microphone shut down. Anyway, it's supposed to be powered by the camera.
Just yesterday, I told about this pain to some person, and he argued with me that some people might not be afraid to die, and they might be in such a pain already that it might be relieved for them. The person was arguing like this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? They think that there's nothing after death. So
Yes, Prabhu.
if you think that killing oneself means closing the light, boom, no more consciousness, then yeah, for them, they think that this is better than undergoing suffering in this life, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's the philosophy of shunyavad, right? Nothingness. Actually, this suicide is what the Buddhists are after. The Buddhist philosophy is to completely stop consciousness altogether. So, yeah, so to die peacefully without pain, that's not true. That doesn't. The very reason one dies or leaves the body is due to pain. And what else? Why would the soul be forced out of the body? It means that the pain at the time of death is so severe that there's no other. The soul just cannot tolerate anymore staying in that body, and therefore he's forced to leave. And we experience that when someone faints, right? When someone is in so much pain, he faints because the soul just cannot tolerate being in so much pain, so therefore he leaves the body. But because the body is still usable, he comes back again, you know, because when we faint, what happens is that the subtle body leaves, right? Subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So the soul is within the subtle body, actually. And when the pain of the body is so intense, then the soul just leaves. Just like when we have a dream. When we're dreaming, we're leaving the gross body. You can see someone who's dreaming. He's lying down there. You know, the body is not moving, but so many activities are going on in the dream. So it's the same thing like when we park our car and we leave the engine on, and then we get off and we go do some other things and buy some groceries or whatever. So the car is still. So it appears that there's someone inside because it's moving and but the person is not there. And because when we dream, that's why we're somewhere else. We're in the mind, right? And the mind can travel so many places like that. So, and as soon as you wake up, then the person comes back, the soul comes back into the body, and again, the body starts moving. Just like the person finishing the groceries comes back in the car, and then press on the gas, and then it goes on. So it's not that the car is alive, although the car manifests like symptoms of movement and makes sound. You know, some people snore also when they sleep, but the snoring is not done by the living entity; it's done by the machine. And the living entity comes back and then uses the machine again. So when one is faced with severe pain or sometimes very bewildering situation, he faints. Right? I had seen a video of someone about to get married. Right? They're standing in front of the priest, and then the husband just faints, or the bride faints like that. So they can't take it. I don't know why they decided to get married at all, but if they don't want to get married, right? So, and it occurs sometimes. Sometimes a great shock occurs. You learn about the death of a family member. It's too much to take, and then you faint like that. So death is the same thing. Is the pain becomes so intense that you're forced to leave the body, and we're all gonna go through that. You know, all of us, we're gonna have to experience that one day. Even though we might feel young, no, I'm young. No, one day we are actually gonna experience that. It's gonna be the last day of our life, and we're gonna be there, and and pain's gonna increase more and more. And then everybody around us, no one is gonna be able to help us, be it their husband, wife, children, you name it. Nobody's gonna be able to help us at that moment, even though they might be there with us and try to alleviate us of the pain. They won't be successful. So at that time, even the devotees that are next to us, if they are there while we leave our body, they also ultimately are not going to be able to really help you. Only Krishna is going to be able to help us at that time, because he's going to be there. So a devotee, by the grace of the Lord, he will be able to, if he's advanced, if he's a perfect devotee, he will be able to overcome death, which means that he will not die in bewilderment and pain like everyone else. No, he will be capable of surpassing the effect of death. Not that he won't leave the body. Leaving the body is a must, and actually we have to. We cannot remain here. But the effect of death, the pain, the forgetfulness, the bewilderment, the next step to bring us into a future body, all of that will be skipped. You can read.
This was so because those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the person of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives.
Yeah. So this misconception at the last moment of the life means what? To identify with the body. That is the misconception. To think that I'm this body. And when pain in the body increases so much, then of course the misconception also increases. Because you can say, how can I not be the body? It hurts like anything. Uh, you tell me I'm not the body, that's not very practical. It hurts so much. So at the time of death, how can we not be under that conceptions that I'm the body? Well, it is by constant remembering within our life of the Lord. Because we dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead. So to speak about God, that is the whole idea. To hear about God and speak about Him. And if we do this every day, and we become accustomed to do that more and more, then naturally we'll remember Krishna. Just like the devotees, when there's something, some danger, some big sound, immediately they'll say, oh, Krishna, Madhava, Keshava. So they're accustomed to remembering God in times of crisis, times of dangers. And that's what's going to be saving them at the last moment of their lives. They're going to be able to surpass that. So we have to prepare ourselves. Human life means preparing ourselves for death. An animal doesn't understand why death will come and how it will take place and what. There's nothing. He's just trying to avoid suffering, right? He's trying to avoid being extinguished. But human form of life, we have to prepare ourselves for it. We have to be brave to face it, not like the karmis that don't talk about it and don't know. We have to talk about it, and we have to be ready to face death. 2115.
Prabhu, here I've noticed that in the West, this euthanasia, or I don't know how it's called in English, but this
Yeah.
assisted suicide thing, it's gotten really famous. And even my family members, parents, sisters, they are spreading this petition. They are telling that everyone needs to sign this, that we get this legal as soon as possible. Everyone wants it legal so they can decide when they leave if their life gets too miserable.
Just see. So now they're trying to make suicide legal. Just see.
Yes,
Right?
Prabhu.
Euthanasia. Yeah. So because they think, oh, it's nice, you just sit down, some little thing injected in your vein, and you pass away nicely. They think they're solving the problem. So that, first of all, that's the proof that their life is miserable, right? Although they
Yes,
try to
Prabhu.
show the opposite with all their Instagram posts and their Facebook thing and the way they speak in front of the friends and relatives, they all try to show that they're happiest person ever. But ultimately, they're all suffering. Everyone here is suffering. We all have our problems. And sometimes it reaches such heights that, yeah, people think of suicide. Oh, it's too much now. Too much. I'm just going to go and jump. So they think this is the solution, but we learn from Shastra that if you kill yourself, you become a ghost. And you don't have a gross body, and you wander in your subtle body, and this is very, very miserable existence. It is much more miserable than the actual suffering that we're undergoing now. So just see, so all they know is to just keep doing mistakes after mistakes after mistakes. They think that legalizing suicide will bring, would be a good thing, but actually they're just furthering their entanglement in material nature. And that's because they are atheists. They are against God, and they're not believing in Him and His words and His instructions, Sai Karti Prabhu, you have raised your hand. You have a question?
I have a question. So I was reading EV Journey to Other Planets yesterday, and basically, I'm sorry, bro. Rishikesh Prabhu is making me laugh. I'm sorry for that. So basically, I was seeing that the yogis they can leave their bodies at will at certain times of the year. Like for example, after Uttarayana, like they can leave with maybe after some time they can leave, and then they can either decide if they want to go to Vaikuntha or they want to go to some other Brahmaloka planet. And then under that, I also heard that those who are like maybe little bit pious karmis, but if they die at also some auspicious moments such as Ekadashi time or whatever, they also get to go to higher planets. So is this like meaning that if one is like a big rascal karmi, but then somehow or other because of some pious action he dies, let's say during some pious time in Ekadasi, will you also be able to avoid hellish suffering, or how is this?
Yeah, so you see, from a transcendental perspective, from a spiritual perspective, heaven is hell because it's in the material world. When we are still having a taste for sense gratification, we tend to discriminate between heaven and hell. We tend to say that, oh, heaven is not that bad, oh, hell is very bad. But for someone who's a pure devotee and who's simply seeking the service of the Lord, heaven is also hell. You know, there's this verse in the Ishopanishad, right? That they enter the darkest region of the universe, those who are worshipping demigods. Well, but from Bhagavad Gita, we learn that those who worship demigod go to heaven. So this verse can have two meanings. One is that if you worship the demigod, but you disrespect the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you go to hell. But the other meaning, which is even more accurate and more, give us more realization, is that a pure devotee considers heaven also the darkest place in the universe. You can actually go, so you see that verse. Ishopanishad, right? Who can help me with this? Which number is it again? Those who worship. 8% version. Let's see. Easel. And no.
It's 12.
12. Okay, I was almost there. We should do. Yeah. So ISO 10, ISO 12. Ishopanishad mantra 12. So you Sai Karti Prabhu, you can read this.
Well, Prabhu, actually, there's some construction going on in the temples.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Your microphone is not such. Okay, who else would like to read? Maybe Varun Prabhu or Varun Prabhu. Is it okay for you to read?
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Please go ahead.
Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshipper of the impersonal absolute.
So that means what? That means that to become a demigod and to reside in heaven is entering into a darkest region of ignorance, because you become comfortable in the material world. You start to think that, oh, here is nice and so on. And still more is the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. So those who want to merge into God, merge into his existence, or impersonal Brahman, that's even worse. Actually, this point, it's there somewhere in the purport. It's of course a very long purport, but I think it's towards the end. Oh yeah, that's the famous. Maybe it's in this report or further next one. Okay, I think it's here. Such a person can worship them. God in the scriptures, there is combination. Okay, can you read this?
In the scriptures, there are recommendations for worshipping demigods under certain circumstances, but at the same time, these scriptures stated that there is normally no need for this. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.23, it is clearly stated that the results derived from worshipping the demigods are not permanent. Since the entire material universe is impermanent, whatever is achieved within the darkness of material existence is also impermanent.
Yeah, the question is how to obtain real and permanent. So you see, so whatever we achieve in this material world, even though it's heaven, it's also impermanent. So it is also entering the darkest ignorance. At least if a devotee is situated in suffering, this is an impetus for his spiritual advancement. But sense gratification is not. So therefore, you're entering into a region of ignorance because you are being bewildered, thinking that this material world is good after all. See, so to discriminate between heaven and hell is not very much a good thing. So the pious karmi, yes, if he's got some piety and he gives a donation and he follows some religious principles, then he's gonna go to this the heavenly planet, But who cares for that? I mean, this is not at all a goal. It's not good at all to go to heaven. It's not a good thing, although most religions promote that because even the Sanatan Dharma, right, a big branch of it, also promotes this. If you speak to Hindus in India and all, so many of them are Svargaloka, going to heaven, going to heaven. You speak to Muslims, yeah, going to heaven, having some virgins there and whatever. And also there in the Christianity and all. So those who are not understanding God and what is the goal of life, they put a lot of they put this heaven on a high pedestal. But a devotee knows that this is nonsense to go there. It's a waste of time. You'll be there some 10,000 years or 100,000 years or whatever, and then you'll come down here again. You'll have to be born again as a human being, and so why not just directly go for the highest place where we don't come back? That's the whole idea. So does that answer? Maybe it's not the type of answer you were expecting, but does that clear a bit?
Yes, bro. Yes, bro. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. So, and as you were mentioning that the yogi, they can go wherever they want, even Vaikuntha. Well, if he's a perfect yogi and he's practiced devotional service, he started to meditate in the form of the Lord and like that. But without devotional service, you cannot go to Vaikuntha. So a perfect yogi, he can go to the Vaikuntha world, but merge into the Brahman effulgence. But unless he develops love of Krishna, he cannot enter the spiritual planet. So, yeah. Okay. Anybody else has any other questions? Yeah, I think. Okay, yeah, Dibale Nandi. We can.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavatanam Jai Shri Prabhupada. Yes, yes. So my question was like I wanted a shloka like in the Gita, Krishna says that I am the best of impersonal Brahman, and in other shloka he says that no, that he who thinks that personality like person is coming from Brahman is like nonsense. Do you know that verse? Like I remember that verse.
Okay, so the first verse that the impersonal I am the source of this impersonal Brahman. Yes, that is in Bhagavad Gita. And what is the second one?
Second question was that in the Gita, Krishna also says that he who thinks that this personality is coming from Brahman, from the impersonal Brahman, he is like fool or nonsense. So Krishna also says that, but I cannot remember that particular verse. Do you know that?
So he doesn't say that he comes from Brahman. There's no verse that Krishna says that I am coming from Brahman. It's not in Bhagavad Gita. Maybe you misunderstood somehow, but yeah, the Lord
No, Prabhu.
says
My
that.
question is different. My question is different. My question is, Prabhu, that I'm not saying that Krishna says in Gita that he's coming from Brahman because he's saying, na, I'm the basis of Brahman. It means he's the Supreme Personality Godhead is, it is person. But in Gita, Krishna says, in some verse, Krishna says that he who thinks that my personality is coming from Brahman, so he's useless or fool. So I want that verse.
Oh, okay, understand. Who do not accept my transcendental nature fall down. Maybe that's the verse that you're. Okay, give me a second. If anyone knows the verse, you can also share. Yeah. So 1427.
And this 924 is where it's mentioned that those
Yes,
who do not
924.
Yes,
yeah. So those who don't recognize, that's 924. So we go here first. So this is, but we can see it in the sequence actually. I'll go to the 9th chapter altogether. So the Lord says here, okay. So you see, in 923 here, he says, those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. So 924, I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. I don't know if that's the verse you were talking about, but to not recognize Krishna's transcendental form will cause one to fall down. Is that the one you were referring to?
Actually, it's similar, but there Krishna directly says that he is a fool who thinks that I am coming from Brahman. Because Krishna already says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the basis of Brahman, and in other shloka he is he was explaining that thing.
Okay, so I guess then maybe this one, 911. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. Is that the one?
Yes, maybe yes, maybe this yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, what is the verse number 2?
911.
Okay, 2,
911. It's easy to remember. The police, the police comes to arrest the fools.
okay. Yes.
So yeah, so fools deride me when I descend in the human form. Yes. So the Lord is actually a person, and to realize this is possible only for the devotees who engage in his service. But fools, when he comes, even he comes, you see, this is another thing that's very important, is that even if God comes personally, those who are rascals will not even believe in God. So atheists are not choosing to be atheists because they're intelligent, or no, they are forced to be atheists. They are forced because they are envious of God, and therefore God covers them. You see, it's not their choice. They think that they have their independent free will to think and make their own choice of, I do not believe in God. But no, you are forced to be an atheist. There's no question of you're having a choice because you're envious of God. Therefore, God is covering you, and you must be an atheist. See, like in the chapter 9. So the Lord says, by me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. So he's speaking about his unmanifested, all pervasiveness in the universe. Then he says, so he says, this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. So nature, we always say nature is doing this, nature is doing that. Those National Geographic and all. How is nature doing this? Why is it that those trees are doing like that? And why is nature behaving like that? Well, they don't know that in the background of nature is the Lord. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. This is a very important verse, 9:10. And then the next verse is this, the one we read just now. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as a supreme Lord of that all that be. And then those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. See? So because they don't accept that God is a person, they must be attracted towards this demonic atheistic view. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. But there's nothing auspicious for someone who's an atheist. But on the opposite, a devotee, O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. So there's a different energy that is ruling the devotee. It's the divine nature, the internal potency of the Lord. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So again, what is the cause of their being fully engaged in devotional service? The cause is the divine nature. So a devotee is forced to engage in devotional service by the internal potency of the Lord. And why is he? Because they know Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the atheists, or forced to be attracted to atheistic and demonic views. Why? Because they do not know my transcendental nature. They don't accept the transcendental nature of God. They don't know God is Krishna and that He's a person and so on. So yes, so this is that. And what was the other point I wanted to make? Okay. Anyway, you want to ask another question? You can speak.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, so I have other two questions. So, Prabhu, my second question is that sometimes we see that in India, basically, like the Mayavadis, sometimes they say that this Krishna, Vishnu, or Shiva, they're actually one. The supreme truth is that Parabrahman, also Bhagavad Gita clearly denies it. And when we show them the words, they sometimes, because they know this Sanskrit grammatical things, so sometimes they juggle words and we get confused. So, how to deal with that, Prabhu?
Yeah. So that's why we shouldn't even deal with them at all. Those who are envious of God, we have to stay away from them. There's no, Krishna said that we have to preach to those who are a little devotee at least. He never said that you try to preach to the Mayavad. That's not for us. These people are condemned by the Lord. They want to say that God has got no form, no eyes, no legs, whatever. So therefore Krishna says what? He says, if you explain to my devotee, 1868, the Lord says, you can read this.
Yes, Prabhu. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, your devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me.
You see, so for one who explained the supreme secret, this is 1868, as the Lord finished speaking Bhagavad Gita. So if you explain the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to the devotees, then, so he wants you to preach it. So someone has to become a little bit devotee at least, meaning he has to show some interest in God. Then you can preach to that person. But someone who is against God, the Mayavadis, they're offenders because they say that God is formless, right? No hands, no legs, no mouth. Like, let's say I come to your house and I tell you, you know what? Your father's got no leg. Your father's got no head. Your father's got no brain. Your father's got no eyes. Is it not so insulting that I'm denying that your father is existing? Is it not the highest form of envy? Right? I don't even want you to exist, isn't it? So those Mayavad, those who say that God is impersonal, and then that when he comes here, he takes a personal form, just like us, but it's a material form. They are actually very, very envious of God. They don't want God to be a person. They don't want God to have transcendental qualities and so on. So these people, we should not try to be merciful to them. There's no question of, for them, the Lord will deal with them. He will send them into lower and lower forms of life. So what is that? Those are just, yes, here. 16:19. See that? Chapter 16, text 19, Bhagavad Gita. You can read this.
Yes, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life. Attaining repeated births amongst the species of demonic life, for son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most uh, abominable type of existence.
Yeah. So those who are envious, which is Mayavadis, they are envious of God. They're mischievous. They will be cast. And the Lord says He's the one who's casting them, in material existence in various demonic species of life. So they become demoniac, more and more atheists, more and more against God. There's no God. Stop talking about God. You annoy me when you talk about God, right? And then because of this, they will sink down more and more and more, and sinking to the most abominable type of existence. We have no idea of how, in this world, the forms of life that are there. Let's say you become this. See this picture. Would you like to be this?
No.
Do you think it's a very nice form of life? It's nasty, right? Well, this is what the atheists will achieve. Those who deny God, they will be given such body. You see how demonic this fish looks? This is our arrangement of God. We need to understand that there's gradation of living entity. Even amongst the fish, you have some fish that are a bit more beautiful, and you have some fish that look like this. Isn't it a demon face? So those
Yes,
who are
Prabhu.
atheists and demonic, their form will be manifest. You can try to hide yourself as being a pious person and all, but ultimately the real form of your mind will take form in your gross body, and you look like this. This is a demonic face. There's so many types of fish. Look at this. This is exactly a demon face. You put that on a human body, what is it? Demon, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So you want to be an atheist and become this? Whoa, no. So therefore, these people, they are on their way to these kind of regions. So don't talk to them. Stay away from them. Preach to those who have
So
got some faith.
this kind of creatures are like in previous world they were Mayavadis or atheists, like.
Yes, of course. They were atheists. They were against God. Otherwise, why they were given such type of body? This is a
Oh,
hellish
okay.
punishment. Can you imagine being this? You're in the dark. Wow, this is very fearful. And people can say they can deny God, but we see that there's different forms of life. It was not chosen by us that we are born here, and so who has made this arrangement that this soul is born as a human, this soul is born as a demon fish, right? So there must be someone that's there to make this arrangement,
Yes,
isn't it?
Prabhu. Prabhu, actually,
No.
in Reddit a few days ago, I noticed there was this one conversation that if God came to Earth right now, what would you ask from him? And almost 90% of the questions were people saying that they would ask, "How dare you?" And they would accuse God from their situation. "How dare you kill this innocent child? How dare you do this?"
All right, exactly. Whatever is bad in the world, it's God's fault. Whatever
Yes,
is
Prabhu.
good, we did it. We did it. We do
Yeah.
everything that's good. We distribute food. We do that. But whatever is bad is God. Oh yeah. Well, if you accuse him of doing bad things, then you should also praise him for doing good things. But that you won't do. When you take a mango from a mango tree, are you saying thank you, God, or you're thinking, no, this belongs to me. This is not for my enjoyment. I'm the Lord of all survey. I deserve to have this mango. No, you think like that. You're not praising the Lord. These fruits and grains and milk and air and sunlight and hills and water and whatever, you're all taking from the Lord. This is all His creation. So you're taking and then blaming Him for the bad things that are occurring. You have messed up the world. The world can be in a peaceful situation, but you're the one messing it up, and then you're going to be blaming God for that, right? So that's not very these people, what to say to such people? Ultimately, they're simply envious. To blame God is not very intelligent. It's the same thing that the criminals, right? The criminals, when they get arrested by the police, they'll blame the system.
Yes,
They'll
Prabhu.
blame the
Actually,
judge.
very true.
Yeah, they'll blame the judge. They'll blame the police officers. They say, I'm also trying to earn a livelihood, just like you. Why do you capture me? Why do you that?
Yes,
Or
Prabhu.
I didn't get the proper education. I was raised in this kind of family, and so on. So what is it? I'm also forced to be who I am. This is how God created me. They put all these things, so they'll never agree that it's their fault. Never. It's the same thing with these atheists. So there's actually a verse like that, spoken by King Prithu. He spoke. Sorry, this is King Prithu. I'll have to find this. It shouldn't take too long. Maharaj Prithu become Prithu, makes the King Prithu 100 horse. Lord Vishnu appears as a sacrificial arena. Maybe it's instructions by King Prithu. So there's a verse spoken by King Prithu where he says that we see that there's different forms of life there. So today you're open. And he says that there must be someone who is arranging. Maybe you can help me search. It's Canto 4, chapter maybe 20 or 21. There must be someone who is arranging all these things that someone. Just give me a second, because it's a nice verse concerning this atheist. So I think it's maybe 421 or meeting the four Kamaras. No, that's too far. 419. Okay, sorry, I don't like to have people wait like this during class. But okay, someone, 421:51. Super weird thing on the. Okay, yeah, I've seen that just now, so it's not this one. He says there must be someone who's making this arrangement. We see that there's different forms of life, so there must be someone who's doing, someone who's making this arrangement. Anyway, I don't think I'll be able to find it now. Okay. Maybe I didn't. We should always remember that if something happens. Yeah, that's not. Just now I saw that also. It's not this one. Anyway, I had saved it, but I don't remember under which heading. I had saved that. Logical argument. No. Anyway, so yeah, someone posting some comment. 5:13:21. Okay, we can go see 5:13:21 then. So Dimitri Prabhu, you have quoted it. Okay, you can read it. Yeah, so that hits on the point. We were saying that it's also the darkest place of ignorance, because we're not we're forgetting, and here, due to profuse material comfort, there's no possibility of associating with devotees. See, so that's a great. Of course, they are devotees, but then why does it say no associating with them? That means a pure devotee, someone who is freed from material desires. And in the heavenly planet, it is very, very difficult. Yeah. Maybe we can conclude with this purport here. You can read. Mm. So yes, so this is the whole idea that we have to keep associating with devotees. Then we'll feel enthusiasm to discuss about the Lord and all we've discussed today. We will lose taste for this fruitive activity to just enjoy our senses, be merry and enjoy. We'll lose taste for that kind of lifestyle. We'll understand that it's not beneficial to the soul, and we'll start to understand who we are and stop acting with self-envy, right? And realizing how rare this human birth is and what is the goal of this, and discussing this. Who else is discussing this? Huh? I'm asking, who else is discussing this in the world? These kind of topics. You go to even religions, you go to churches or mosques, so they're not going to be delving into such in-depth analysis of material world and spiritual world and all. It doesn't exist. Even among Hindus, temple, they don't discuss these things. They go to the Lord and they pray and all, but there's no knowledge. They don't understand. What about philosophers? There's no way. Although we're just a few people here and it's just a little meeting online, it's actually glorious. There's no other place like that except with the devotees. And then we've discussed also how heaven is also considered a place in very dark place, because you, after all, heaven or hell, you're not situated in your original position in service to the Lord, eternally situated. So it's a temporary place. And we discuss also how the Lord will have to preach to devotees, or at least those who have got some interests, and we have to neglect the envious. They're going to be cast by the Lord, right? Okay, so Debale, Nandi, you have again, and Saikarti, both of you have raised your hands. So maybe we can have a quick question and then we'll wrap up.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I have actually another question. It's not a question, but it's a request. Like normally in India and other countries as well, those who read the little Shastra, so they sometimes argue that the Shiva and Vishnu are same and that sort of thing. So can you make with a video or anything that helps us or help those people who like constantly, but they always say that Shiva Vishnu are one and no difference, no difference. If you make difference, you are a Pakhandi, that kind of thing. So, do you have any plans regarding this?
Yeah, actually, this is this is one on my list. Who is supreme, Lord Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva? I can show you. I have like a note on that. This is actually among Hindus. This is a great bewilderment. You see, I've made a note: Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, who is the supreme, and I'm thinking of making a video about this to try to help clear some conceptions. So I don't know when that will come out, but actually, when you study from a broad perspective, of course, there's much more verses than that. But as long as one doesn't know God, he's not situated as a devotee. He's not guided by a spiritual master. One who's guided by a spiritual master, he will know. There's God and there's demigods. They're not the same. But Hindus, they think that it's all the same. So anyway, so that will come. But first, you be convinced yourself. You don't listen to all these people who speak nonsense. You have to hear from devotees only. The most important thing is to first you yourself be convinced before trying to convince others. So we have to increase our faith. So by reading Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see more and more realize that yes, it's true, Krishna is God, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God. Like that, they're the same person, different form. That's all. So when this realization comes more and more, then our steadiness, our faith is anchored properly, and then we're steady in devotional service. So we should
Yes,
care about
so
ourselves.
actually when I read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam and basically the purports, when Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada shows many verses, from a lot of Puranas. So my faith become more stronger, and I can easily identify that
Yeah.
which is good or like which is right or which is not.
Because you're hearing from a pure devotee who is beyond doubts.
Yes.
For Prabhupada, there's no question of any doubt. He doesn't need to think maybe. No, he knows 100%. Yes, Krishna is God. You've seen him. He has, when you've seen God face to face, who can remove your who can shake you from your conviction? This is the truth. So that's why hearing from Prabhupada, reading his purport is very powerful, because we're hearing from someone who has seen God. So yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
So continue reading.
And
Continue
Prabhu,
reading.
and Prabhu, last week, actually, Prabhu, in what in these days in Instagram,
Sorry, your microphone.
Instagram that that person was like something. Yes, actually, I was saying that last day or I think maybe a few days ago, I have sent it one link, Instagram link, where one post is that like Prabhupada is the curse of society. So we like actually I was thinking that can I actually message him or can I approach him for what any kind of talk that we can prove him wrong, that no whatever you saying wrong, but some of the devotees said that no, we just need to report him, that's it. So what what we should do like in this
Yeah,
case?
yeah, yeah. So this no, these kind of people you cannot help them. Again, it's the same thing. They're going to become that fish, you know. So what can you do to such person? They're meant to become an ugly fish. So these people you must avoid. Don't you report him? That's the best thing. You don't try to convince him. What convince? He's a mad person. He's a crazy fellow. What can you talk to such people? So for Krishna says you know if you want to make a garden, right? You want to grow plants. You don't go in the desert. What are you gonna do? No, no, I have to make a garden in the desert. I will succeed. No, you go where there's fertile land. There's so many people around that. Why use your energy into planting seed in the desert? You go plant it where you get results, right? So this man is doomed. He's finished. You know, he's doomed to take birth into lower species of life. So don't waste your time there. You go, you report him. That's the best thing you can do, and move on. There will always be people like that. You know? So, and don't go and hear what these people are saying. Don't even click and because you're hearing offenses against a pure devotee, and that's going to be very agitating to your mind. You know, it's going to be very bad for you. So don't hear about what people say about it. If someone blasphemes Srila Prabhupada, you block your ear or you close the tab or whatever. You go chant your round or read Prabhupada books. You know, that's all. Completely ignore these people. Okay, it's the best thing for you, for all of us.
Okay, okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, Sai Karti Prabhu, last one. Sai Karti Prabhu, you had a question. Okay, I don't know if he's there. So meanwhile, we'll go to Dignity Prabhu. You're saying, which verse, Prabhu? You're saying 10:44. So I'll share that verse. So how to apply 10:44:10? You're asking. A wise person should not enter an assembly if he knows the participants there are committing acts of impropriety, and if, having entered such an assembly, he fails to speak the truth, speaks falsely, or pleads ignorance, he will certainly incur sin. So yeah, so this is very different when it comes to the modern day of social media, right? Uh, it's not that at every single post that you see that is offensive, you have to waste your time and try to scold a person. Because of course, I mean, because you see the preacher, he's got to see who's the envious, right, and how to reciprocate with the envious. He has to completely neglect. But that verse here is okay. You've entered a bad assembly. The people are there, and people are speaking bad against the Lord. So if you're capable of defeating them or exposing them, if you got the capacity, you're strongly situated in your devotional service, and you're capable of smashing them a little bit and then leaving, then okay, you can do so. But if you're not capable of defeating them, or you're going to be, then better just leave. This took place. There was a pastime like that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Two devotees, they were hearing blasphemy of the Lord, and they left. They plugged their ears and they left like that. And they said, we could not tolerate hearing blasphemy about yourself. And Prabhupada says in the purport that they were Kanishta Adhikari because they could not defeat the opposite party like that. So that can be done too. Or if you want, you can do that. But again, in modern days age with technology and all, it's just so hard to do things like that. Best thing would be that their points, we take them, we present them into our classes and our videos, and we defeat these points. Of course, if you want, you can go and call him names and things like that. But ultimately, what is this going to happen? It's just going to increase his envy towards the devotee, and you are going to become more agitated, right? What other result than that are we going to get? He's not going to become convinced at all because he's a rascal. And will you be feeling better by going at him like that and this and that? Not necessarily. But sometimes when, for example, there was some people who made videos against His Grace Nimai Nitai Prabhu. So that, personally, I didn't like that, and I knew that, okay, I'm gonna make a video, going back at the guy, and that's okay because I felt good doing that, and it shows I disproved his false accusations and so on. But on the net, there's so much things like that against Srila Prabhupada, unfortunately, and it's very, very painful to see. I don't like to see these things, but we know the key things that they use, right? Just like that thing that was presented, Prabhupada said like that, Prabhupada said like this. Well, these people are ignorant, so we should take these and make a video and explain it for the people who've got a brain, who will hear. That's better, I think, than simply wasting time with these people. And plus, as we expand our online preaching, we get so many of these people that attack us. Me, I don't even waste time anymore because it's going to take too much of my energy. I'm going to become agitated, and all that time that I could use to write a comment to someone who's favorable, I'm going to be using to write a comment to someone who's unfavorable. So why that, right? So I simply block. Someone comes and he's very offensive, block, 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 block. Just block. That's it. It's the best thing to do, Okay, I think that's a wrap up. Manu Prabhu has joined us at the very last moment. Anyway, Manu Prabhu, you got the association of Sundar Gopal Prabhu there. You should go to him instead of coming here.
Krishna Manu Prabhu Tandas Nam Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is some of
Hare
our
Krishna.
basic Prabhu.
Pranam. Hare Krishna, Prabhupada.
Yes,
Okay, so thank you very much. Yes, Manu Prabhu. You are with His Grace Sundar Gopal Prabhu?
yes, Prabhu. I'm with him right now. It's a very nice
Nice.
association with him and everything.
Very nice.
Would you want to with His Grace, Prabhu?
Well, it's okay. No need to disturb
Okay.
him. Just offer our obeisances to him.
Prabhu, I will. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for having joined the session. So we'll be doing this every Monday at the same time. I know that it might be quite early for you. Us, we're in Australia. We're quite ahead. Now it's 8:50 p.m. for us. So I don't know what's the time for all of you, but we'll be doing this on a regular basis, at least for the time that I'm in Australia, which is another 2.5 months at least. So every Monday you can tune in. We'll try to advertise a bit earlier also. I shared the link only 30 minutes earlier in that group, so sorry for that. Okay, thank you very much. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyeva Patitanam.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. All glories to Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri
All good. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.